Okay, I have another informational video. I'm coming up with such great content. I wish that I had had this stuff when I was learning, but now I'm teaching it. Okay, how to prepare for a live session. I remember distinctly when I first had my first studio session and I was so nervous and I was like trying to YouTube and Google like how to prep for your session, what to expect. You want to walk in being super professional and have everyone think that you've been doing this forever and this is your first time, right? It could be a little nerve-wracking, but now they're my favorite thing to do. I much prefer a live directed session over everything else. I get to talk to people via Zoom. You know, you don't have a lot of in-person recordings these days after 2020, but you get to talk to people, you get to communicate with people. It is so much easier to find the exact tone your client is looking for, and you can bounce your creativity and ideas off of each other, and it's truly a collaborative process, and they are so much fun to do. So yes, live recorded sessions are my favorite. So let's talk about how to get ready for one. So, number one, you gotta get in the right headspace. You might be a little nervous. You might be a little anxious. You might be anticipating. You need to calm down. So I have like a little routine. I mean, it's not always the same, but I know how to unwind, de-stress myself, clear out any micro tensions that I might be holding, and feel fully reset to dive into this new project and be fully focused on what it is that we are working on, which is exactly where you want to be. You want to be interested in what you are about to read about, okay? So get in the right headspace. Learn how to understand the needs of your client, which is so important to know how to ask questions, know how to tell if they seem confused and they don't know what question to ask. Know how to read your client so you can make this as smooth a process as possible. The way that I see these live directed sessions is it's an opportunity to collaborate. It's an opportunity to get very clear and very specific to give them something that's really unique and customized to them. That's what you're doing. You're customizing their projects to the message that they want to send. And it's your opportunity to integrate with them. You want to absorb their perspective, absorb their emotions that they're trying to communicate to you, that they want you to bring back to their project. So live directed sessions, perfect for that. Okay, so there's different types of sessions, and you probably know which one you're going to be walking into. So you have in-person sessions, right? So if you are at the top of the industry and you're on animated shows like South Park or Simpsons or like network shows or whatever it is, you're probably going in studio. Everything is done for you. You are the professional talent and you know it, so you know what kind of session you're walking into. If this is your first session, it might be very different. You might not have a director, you might not have a producer, you might not be sure who's going to join your Zoom call. But you probably know more or less that you're not going to be walking into a studio that's fully professional because you're not fully professional yet. So let's say that a client has reached out to you and they want to do a live directed session and you've negotiated your rates. You're very excited because live directed sessions pay more. And the first thing that you want to do is make it clear how long the session is going to be. So that's part of the negotiation of the rates, how long the session is going to be, how much you're going to charge for overrunning the session, and have that clear so the client knows, you know, if they feel like it's not a lot of time, but they don't want to add more, then they can be more concise whenever they're communicating to you. Another thing that you want to do is set up, if you're going to do Zoom or if you're going to do, I don't know, Google Teams or something like that, you want to make sure that the link is sent. Sometimes I send the link. Sometimes the client prefers for me to send it. Sometimes the client sends it because they want to be able to invite everyone that's going to be in on the call. I don't always know who's in on the call. If it's something if there is a director or a producer involved, I typically know who's on the call, but if there's not, then the client doesn't really know to communicate that, nor do they really have to, because it's not gonna change anything. So some people that might be on the call, your client, their client, it might be that kind of situation where they were hired to make the video, so then they hired you, but it's the company that they're working for that knows the vision of what they want. It's always awesome when there's a director or a producer in the room, because then you can sit back and just be the talent. So when there's a director or producer, they know how to run the stagecoach. So they are in charge and you could just chill. They're going to manage the client expectations. They try to help you keep the right energy, and they serve as that medium, which is so nice. Okay, such a luxury to have. But if that's not your situation, then you're that person. So you're the one managing the client expectations, all of that stuff. With that being said, if it's you, the client, and maybe some internal person making the video, you want to ask some questions at the beginning. So like I said, you want to integrate with them. A lot of the time, if it's their first time doing a live directed session, then it's all on you to make sure that you show them the process of how this is done, which you will learn over time. So what you want to do is you want to make everybody feel comfortable. Sometimes if they've never done this before, they don't know what to expect from you or your performance. So you want to make them feel comfortable about the process. So in the beginning, I talk about the project. I ask any and all questions that I have. Even if it sounds obvious, it is so important for me to talk back and forth with the client, because I'm absorbing perspective that they might not fully know that they're giving. So if I understand what the project is, I'll clarify what that project is. And then the way that they phrase it back to me helps give me an idea of the feeling that they're bringing to it and the feeling that they're looking for. The little things that they're deciding to focus on, that they're bringing your attention to, you want to bring the listener's attention to. Are you getting that process? Okay, ask questions if that's confusing. Yeah, like if it's not something that's on Source Connect, which is pretty obvious because you have an audio engineer on the other side and you don't have to do anything, it's like you're in studio with them, then I always clarify how they want the files delivered. If they want to have all of the takes that you guys do in the session so their video editor can pick and choose what they want, or if they want you to cut it down to a final take, full mastering and editing on the back end done by you, or if they want to receive a raw file because they have an audio engineer on their end. You want to clarify all of these things. It's a whole new world, and these are the things that we need to pay attention to. Okay, so the process from A to B is they ask for a live session, you negotiate rates, you make it clear what the terms of your agreement are in terms of how long the session is going to be. Obviously how much they're going to pay for the time that you've put aside, how much you're going to charge for, 30 minutes extra or every 15 minutes extra. Let me just recap what to do before the session so you guys can pause the screen and write some of these down, or actually don't pause it because I am actively speaking. We'll just have it pop up on the screen and I'll go into a little bit more detail. So before the session, here are some of the basic questions. I ask more things that are technical. Is there a time frame in which this needs to be read? Is this a 30-second spot for a radio gig, or is this going to be matched with a video? If this is going to be paired with a video, do you need me to time sync my voice to the video, or will that be handled afterward? Or do we just need to make sure that we get it read within a certain time frame? Side note, if it needs to be time synced to the video, then I don't always suggest a live session. I want to take a look at that video first to see how difficult and technical and redundant it's going to be for me to be able to time sync it, because it might not be ideal to have the client on the other end watching you work through all of that technical, tedious stuff. I also ask for references ahead of time. This will help me inform me as to the tone and emotion that they're going for. I love to get music tracks. I love to get video drafts. If there's any artistic renderings, I want all of it if they have it. And like I had just said, get clear on your price, get clear on the timing of the session, know how quickly you tend to work, and maybe multiply that by 2, maybe 3 to kind of anticipate massaging out the script a little bit more. And that'll give you a good idea as to how much you can get done in an hour with a client on the other line. You want to make sure that the size of the project is appropriate for the amount of time that you put aside, or if it's just to get a tonal read and you have multiple scripts, but they just want to make sure that the first one is solid, then you kind of want to have that stuff clear ahead of time. Once you're in session, you've already done your unwinding, make sure that you're in the right mindset. Once you're in session, just have fun with it, just connect with them, be interested in what you guys are there to do. Yes, do all of that stuff that I just said to do with relaxing and having fun and enjoying your life and blah, 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 blah. Okay, here are some things that you can do at the beginning of the session that, one, helps you figure out how to accurately direct the session, but also gets you some more information that might be helpful during the session. So the first thing I ask is how they want this delivered. I've mentioned this already, but this is what I ask at the top of the meeting. Do they want this in a raw file? Do they want this edited down? Do they want it mixed and mastered? Do they want the full session with all the takes so they can cut it down to the final pieces that they want? Or do they want me to make the final decision and do a final cut? Or do they want me to keep track of which takes they want and then cut it down to the ones that they specifically chose? Sometimes if you guys have plenty of time, they're going to want you to cut it down right there in front of them to make sure that they have the full final take that they want. That's something to ask at the beginning. Another thing that I ask, like I've also mentioned before, is tell me a bit about the project. Tell me a bit about the tone that you're going for with this piece. And this is that moment to fully integrate with them, to fully absorb their perspective, to listen to the words that they use, to listen to the emotions that they use, to listen to the direction. All of that will inform how you're going to approach the read. So you have all of that beginning stuff out of the way. Now we're about to jump into the session. So I either suggest taking it in chunks if it's a longer read, or if it's a slew of 15-second spots, then obviously you don't need to take it in chunks. You'll take it one spot at a time. But taking it piece by piece helps you get a very specific, intentional delivery that both of you guys have agreed to. The first thing that I do is I get a quick tonal check. I'll read a portion of the script and then I'll check back with them on the delivery, how they feel about it. And this helps things go much more smoothly. Once you have the set tone that everyone's happy with, everything else falls into place because that's the tone that you carry forward. And it might change further down the road, you know, if it's a longer piece, as the emotion changes, but one, that may come more naturally to you, and two, that's part of the live session to iron that stuff out. So back to what I was saying. Try not to get out of your head and let yourself relax and kind of, you know, yeah, you're performing the entire time. You have to be on whenever you're directing the session and helping to guide them. But if you need to like massage out your cheeks because you've been smiling for the past 45 minutes during the script and you're feeling tight, feel free to like do that stuff. You might feel weird about it, but they know that you're there performing and they want to get the best performance out of you. So if you need to like, you know, loosen up in the middle or take some stretches, or if it's something very high energy and you need to like do, you know, run in place for a little bit or something like that, then feel free to do it. I really don't have anything else to say, so good luck. Bye. One final note that might be helpful and is part of the customer service that you're aiming for is the awareness of your client's needs. And here is a perfect example that might clarify how to understand your client's needs. So you may learn that the client that's sitting in front of you isn't the only person that will sign off on the final tone for this. Maybe they have to get this approved by their boss, but their boss wasn't able to make it to the session. Maybe this is going to get passed on to a team of people who will make a unified decision as to the tone, and the person in front of you, in one way or another, makes it clear that they are doing their best to find a tone that will make everyone happy and that they have a general idea of the direction that they're going in. If you guys have time, let's say that you nail down the tone and you get the full reading of the script and you still have 30 minutes left. That's a perfect time to really think about your client's needs and make suggestions. So, let's say they aren't totally sure as to what's going to get approved or not. So you can say, you know what, let's just do a take that's a little bit more professional, a little bit more polished up. So then you have that option. Or let's do a take that's a little bit more casual and a little bit more carefree and playful. So then you have a range of options to present to your team. And then that will help you avoid revisions in the future. That will help avoid misunderstandings. And your client's going to appreciate that you're also, in the trenches with them, thinking about the best approach to take with this project. Okay, well, yeah, now we're done answering the questions. If you have more, ask them. See you next time.